Hi, my name is Andre.
Came from and what made you choose this nation?
So I'm from Bay, St. Thomas. Bay is the capital town of St. Thomas. I grew up there and then I left. Then I moved to another community when I got a little bit older. And then I ended up leaving the country to Trinidad. So it was from Trinidad that I came to Canada. But Canada has always been a part of my dream. I've always wanted to live in Canada, so coming here was a good decision, I think, on the part of the government and myself too at the same time, because it's not a full decision that I could have made to say, okay, I'm coming to Canada tomorrow. So it was all based on you know, the olive branch extended by the government to say, okay, we'll accept you. So I'm really glad about that. But Canada, as a nation, is a great nation. So it's a place that I saw myself, given that there are a lot of opportunities here, different things that you could be a part of, where you could grow. And the standard of living is better too. It's expensive though, but so it's good. It's better, so yeah.
So, what difficulties did you encounter when you adapted to the new surrounding and the culture?
In Canada,
Yeah.
a few of the things are, when it comes to the cultural part of it, it's like a culture shock. In the Caribbean, when you see somebody, it's customary to say good morning, good afternoon. Social graces and pleasantries are essential. But here in Canada, you go on the bus, you're on the road, wherever you are, you say something, the person just watches you. So sometimes you don't get a response. Sometimes someone will smile at you, and then they acknowledge you. The food was another thing, because some things that I'm accustomed to eating are not readily available, and if you do find it, it's not the same. It's cold, very cold sometimes. That's one thing no one, properly informed me about, as to how to get over that, because like they didn't show you how to dress, and so it's like when I came out of the airport, I turned back immediately. I was so cold. That was a surprise for me. I didn't expect it to be like that.
Okay. So, what are some common misunderstandings about refugee or your culture that needs to be cleared up, and how can we do that?
Some common misunderstandings as it relates to refugees in Canada or globally.
No, in Canada specifically, that you think that people from Caribbean countries have this particular notion about it.
Yeah.
So, this is something that you want to change.
One thing that we could change is the thought process of the people who are not properly informed as to what a refugee is or what it means to be a refugee. That's one thing we could change by educating people more, making them more aware of the process and what is involved in it, what it's about more, so that, because it's like a stigma for some people. Like, oh, you're a refugee, you ran away. No, I didn't necessarily run away. I ran from you and problems that you're giving me. It's not because, So sometimes too, when they say, oh, I didn't go back home because of this and I didn't go back home because of that, one person might understand while somebody else might think it, a whole different way. And another thing that we could also change when it comes to that is to not only make people more aware of what it means to be a refugee, but the persons themselves who are getting involved in it, they should be more informed before they actually get into the process, because sometimes you have people going backwards. So the process is a forward-moving process, but you have people keep backtracking. I don't know if that's a word, but people keep making their mistakes, because you come to Canada, you go to America, wherever you're accepted, and then you feel, okay, I could just be doing the same thing that I was doing 10 years before or 5 years before. Or you're gonna, come and just be there. So the idea is that, okay, some people think that, okay, the government will be there for me and there will always be somebody in my corner. But at the same time, what it is that I'm doing for myself? How am I making this process easier and better for myself? So just like me, this is my first year in Canada. So, okay, you get assistance for the first year, but within the first half of the year, how much effort did you put in for yourself to make sure that at the end of that year you could move on? You know, so that's one thing that we could work on, making people more aware by providing more information and information and resources the same, but you know, there is a lot of work that could be done in terms of that.
You
When,
said
when I
when you
arrived,
face difficulties, you
yes,
need
so
some guidance and
yes,
stuff.
so when I came in December, the TBMA, ThunderBay Multicultural Association, special thanks to Michelle Lander Mackenzie. She's a really wonderful person and her team behind her. They did everything, you know, to make sure that the process was easier. Like there was somebody to help you to find a place to live, somebody to help you get employed, you know. So there were people there with you right along the way. And even now, you could still call somebody to ask for some information or advice. Like the last time when we were filing taxes, they were instrumental in that. They connected me with the Lakehead Council so that they could have filed the taxes. So there are a lot of things that they did that helped. So they taught us with me with the Yes Employment Services. So when you at Yes Employment Services now they help you to put your resume together, you know, and give you job leads, and they keep, so you have a career development practitioner who is the person who is responsible for making sure that they speak to the employer to, you know, and then they come and they check on you to see what the progress you're making and stuff like that. And then at the end of the cycle, so if you need assistance with transportation, uniforms, whatever necessities you need, they provide, or they try to help you halfway. And but there's this the next side that I use to called Indeed. So they're working with that side, and they're also in communication with employers. So they try to match you with the best job that suits your, you know, qualification and stuff like that. All right. So coming to Canada, there are a few differences that I've experienced so far. Changes like to my personal life in terms of like work. When I was in the Caribbean, your work wasn't really appreciated or valued by your employers most of the time. And sometimes your employer appreciates you, but the managers and other staff members make you feel as if you don't even want to go to work sometimes. But here in Canada, when you go to work, sometimes your boss would be like, every 5 minutes, if he passes you like 100 times, are you okay? You know, they care about you. If anything is wrong, they try to make sure it's better. Socially, people don't mind your business really. Here in Canada, that's one plus for me. It's like a positive. Because you could be walking down the street, and if you don't stop somebody and say something, nobody cares really. They care, but they not going to say anything, you know. Whilst in the Caribbean, you're quite across the road, and I'm all the way over this side, but you still find the time to mind my business. So you find out a lot of mischief making, and you know, you don't have that here in Canada. In terms of like living, the living situation, it's like rent is not the cheapest, but at the same time, it can be affordable. But the job, it depends on what you're doing for your job. Whilst back home in the Caribbean, you could always run to a neighbor, or your cousin, or some family. You could, you know, there's always somebody there. So that's not a positive where that is concerned for me. Because here in Canada, you have to work, even if it's cold, you have to be out there all the time, late at night, you know, and then sometimes it's like, after you work so hard, it's like you question yourself, why did I work this hard this week? You know, 'cause the tax alone takes away half of your pay. So that's not good. I think that's something that could be worked on. And rent could be lowered. Food could be made a little bit more cheaper. All right. So for newcomers to Canada, wherever you're coming from, one of the first advice that I would give is, if you have a job where you are currently, be sure to save some of what you're earning. Because when you get to Canada, you will not be employed immediately. And you won't have any family, and that's why, or even close friends. And that's why most of the times people are depressed and, you know, stressed. So if you're coming to Canada and it's going to be a new start for you, to have no family, nobody, make sure you're saving if you're working. Another thing is that try to get as much information as you could about where you're going to be going to, what is it like there, what to expect, you know. So you want to prepare yourself as best as possible in terms of like clothes. If you're coming, try to know when the winter is, the seasons, That's the next important point. Because like my neighbor, he has never experienced winter. When he came, he didn't know that he would have needed a lot of stuff. So, especially too, if you're going to be a student, try to get connected with organizations like the TVMA so that they could guide you accordingly, show you where to get stuff done. If you haven't, like, if you speak other languages other than that which is spoken in Canada, they could also help with that. So you want to try to get as much information as possible before you come. But most importantly, save if you're working. Right, so I'd like to say a special thanks to the ThunderBay Multicultural Association, and to name a few persons, Miss Mackenzie, Michelle Lander Mackenzie, Hannah, Anja, she's always nice on the phone, always greets you pleasantly. This nice house that I'm living in, I was assisted by Hannah to find it. Thanks to Synergy Property Management for working with the TVMA to make sure that we found housing at an affordable cost. And just a big thank you to everybody who works at the ThunderBay Multicultural Association. And High Tage, thank you for being you and being nice. Yeah, your guys are really good. Thank you.